Okay. And if I might pop back to the computer just to let anybody else into the room if they come a little bit late, but other than that, we'll go ahead and get started. So this first section of class will become very familiar. It's always how we'll start our classes in some form. And you can sit on your mat and have the feet flat on the floor. They're as wide as your hips. Knees are going to point up to the ceiling and then recline all the way back. Laying the back of your skull on the floor, back of the sacrum, or the back of the pelvis is what the sacrum is. And then also feel as if the shoulder blades are just falling onto the floor. Almost envision like an orange peel peeling open, and those shoulder blades are just going to fall to the floor. And then bring the palms flat to the top of the thighs. So it will be like the wrist crease is going to kind of match your hip crease. And then just press the thighs away from your skull, pushing those hands into the thighs. Your elbows may or may not be straight, but I want you to feel as you do this a sense of tractioning. So you'll feel maybe like there's more space between each of your vertebrae in the spine. And keep trying to draw the chin towards the throat, and you'll feel some extra lengthening in the back of the neck. And then our last piece here, as you exhale, try to draw, imagine you had a seam coming right down the middle, the front of your torso, and try to draw that towards the floor. And as you do that, you might feel even more lengthening and opening in the back. And then let the hands release. They can come down to the floor. Keep this length in your spine. We'll head to a low bridge position. So imagine you were lengthening the tailbone towards the heels. Squeeze your glutes. And then lift the pelvis just about 4 to 6 inches off the floor. You'll be putting pressure into the feet here. And if you feel any, I'm going to let somebody into the Zoom room. You stay in that bridge. If you feel any wonkiness in the knees, go ahead and walk the feet further away from you. It will give a little bit more space in the knees. I'm just going to lock our Zoom room. So you should start to feel the glutes waking up. They're starting to what we call fire more, and that means they're becoming a bit more active. And this, if we've been sitting all morning and will sit this afternoon, getting these glutes to wake up for a bit is going to help us release some pressure in the low back. So we're still keeping this nice length in everything that's above the pelvis, and we're turning those glutes on. Take the hands from the floor, thumb side up. We'll reach the arms up to the ceiling, fingers reaching towards the ceiling, and then not moving anything in the lengthened spine, reach them overhead. And then reverse that. So arms reach back to the ceiling and then down by your sides. And we'll do one more like that. Fingers reaching towards the ceiling, arms reaching overhead to some degree. And then arms come back to reach towards the ceiling. Interlace the fingers here. So you're making this kind of fist. And just punch the hands up towards the ceiling, pushing the upper back into the floor. Nothing else is going to move. And visually, it might not look very different, but we're kind of reaching the shoulder blades up away from the floor here. Keep squeezing those glutes. Good. And then keeping this reach with the arms. Now take this fist a little bit more overhead so the arms are somewhere near the sides of your head or your ears. And you'll feel more of a stretch underneath the armpits with this added, what we call protraction. Good, and then let the arms go. We'll reach back up to the ceiling and then flatten the palms towards the ceiling. So fingers are reaching back towards your head in that direction. And we'll open the wrists by pulling on the right fingers with the left hand. So you're really flexing, flexing the wrist here. Extending the wrist. One big breath, inhale, exhale, and switch hands. Left palm presses up to the ceiling, pulling back on the fingers there, extending this left wrist. Big inhale. And exhale. Check in with the length in your torso. Those glutes are probably cooking. Good. And then lower everything to the floor. And we'll take the hands behind the head here. We'll wake up the core. And this section is kind of our power moment, and the rest will be more stretching and opening. So if you're like, she said it wouldn't be super sweaty, but you feel it a lot right now, we're just prepping for movement. So those hands are interlaced behind the skull. You can draw the elbows so that they point towards the ceiling. Inhale here. Exhale fully, and on empty, peel the head and the shoulder blades off the mat. So you want to feel almost like your mid-ribs on your back are pressing into the floor. Good, and then lay the head back. Inhale, lower to the floor. Exhale, head and shoulder blades lift. On empty, feeling that imaginary front seam down your middle, pulling towards the mat. Good, and inhale, lower. We're gonna start layering some optional add-ons. If you like what we just did, just stick with that. Otherwise, you can pick and choose what you wanna add on. Exhale, head and shoulder blades lift. We're up in this nice concentrated crunch. Next option here is to extend the left leg, flex that foot, thighs stay parallel. And then the left foot lowers. Inhale, lower back to the floor. Exhale, head and shoulder blades lift. Remember, this is an option. You can extend the right knee, flexing that foot, keeping thighs parallel here. And we're just kind of upping the load by extending this leg. Right foot lowers, inhale, lower. Another option to add on top of that. Exhale, head and shoulder blades lift. Left knee extends, flex that foot, thighs parallel. Add a twist with your upper body to the left. So twisting towards that extended leg. Final option here, bend the left knee towards like a 90-degree and extend and bend and extend. Back to neutral, inhale, lower. Last time on the right side, exhale, head and shoulder blades lift. Extend that right knee nice and long if you'd like. Final option here, we twist the upper body over to the right, pause. Next layer, bend the right knee to 90 and extend and bend and extend back to center. Everything lowers, and just take a nice long stretch, extending the legs and the arms in opposite directions here. And then take the arms wide into a T, and you'll walk the feet back towards where we started, feet on the floor, knees to the ceiling. And then just let the left hip open up so the left knee falls to the left, and get a slight extension through the right hip. You'll push through the right foot and lift the pelvis off the floor. So we're in this nice little twist here. Lower the pelvis there, come back through center, and then let the right leg fall open, press through the left foot, and you can push the left half of the pelvis off the mat. Still lengthening that tailbone towards your heels here, so that's gonna get some opening in your front hip. Good, and then come back to neutral. Just give a little bit of a wiggle, kind of feel your back settling into the floor. And we'll move up and around, coming onto all fours, or what we call quadruped in LYT Yoga. So the wrists are under the shoulders and those knees are under the hips. And this today is actually going to be where we start our flow. I'm already warm. Hopefully you are too from that warm up. And as I said, that warm up will become familiar. So we're on all fours here, and we're going to do a bit of a series. We'll extend the left leg long behind us. Don't let the spine move at all. Lift the left toes off the floor and then bend that knee. So you're making, again, some sort of a 90-degree angle with the knee. Externally rotate the left hip. So that means that the knee is going to open out to the left to some degree. You're not going to let the pelvis move. And then bring it back to neutral. Extend the left leg long, hovering above the floor. Maybe the right arm can reach forward alongside your ear. Keeping length in the spine here. Left knee is going to lower back underneath you. Bring the right hand behind your head. And then inhale, open up for a twist to the right. This is called open the book. Pressing into that left hand here. And then right hand returns to the mat. We'll do that series one more time. Left leg extends long behind you, toes on the floor. And then lift the leg to some degree, not letting the spine change. Left knee bends and we externally rotate, left knee moving towards the left. Pelvis stays neutral. Back to neutral with that leg, extending the left knee long. Option here, extend the right arm alongside the ear. And the left knee comes into lower. Right hand comes behind the skull, press into the left hand, open up for a twist to the right. And then right hand comes back to the mat. We'll tuck our toes, sit the hips back towards the heels, and then walk the hands back so they feel a bit more under your shoulders. Inhale, you'll get a cat-like feeling here, pulling the chest almost like you could pull it through your arms. And then exhale, push the hands into the floor, puff that chest away in the opposite direction. Inhale for this upper body cow, I always mix them up. Exhale, push the floor away, rounding the upper back for this cat-like feeling. We'll do a couple more cycles of this, follow your breath. And the reason we have our hips back towards our heels here is that it kind of locks our low back, and then we isolate this movement to the upper body, the upper back region. And once you've done your last cat here, extend back to neutral. We'll unhook the toes and just press up, extending to what I would call an extended kneel. Squeeze the glutes a little bit here to give you a stable foundation. And then I'm going to turn so you can see what I'm doing. You stay where you are. We'll step the left foot out on the left diagonal. So we step it out to the side a little bit on the diagonal. Left forearm comes to the thigh, and we side bend, reaching the right arm over towards the left. You'll feel nice opening all the way down this right side here. Option here, we'll come back to vertical. Right hand comes to the right hip or pelvis. Left arm reaches over to the right. We get this opposite lateral stretch. Now I'm going to turn back to match your orientation. So you don't move, I'm going to move. So we've got the left leg out to the left. We'll rise to vertical and just slide the left leg forward. We're in a half kneel. Bring the hands to the pelvis here. Squeeze the right glute. Feel some length. Inhale, arms reach up. And exhale, arms come to cactus or goalpost. So they're making these 90-90s from your shoulders. Adding a twist here, we'll turn just side to side, moving from the rib cage. So we've got this stable pelvis here. We're only moving above it. And that might mean your range of motion is a little tighter, and that's fine. 2 more. Ooh, I just got a crack. I hope you're getting some cracks. Back to neutral. Inhale, arms extend. Bring the fingertips to the floor. And if you have blocks, this is a good time to use them. Just feel out what you need. We'll tuck the right toes. Shift the hips up a little bit, extending to some degree in this front leg. This is kind of a bent knee pyramid. And then the right knee lowers, untuck the foot, inhale, lift. Fingertips to the floor, tuck your right toes, extending slightly through both legs, keeping that long spine. And right knee lowers, inhale, rise. Fingertips down, tuck the toes, lifting in the pelvis here, long spine. Good, and then right knee lowers, slide the left knee back so we return to quadruped here. Palms plant, tuck the toes, Press into the hands and the feet and lift for your down dog. Pelvis reaching up, up, up. You can have a little bit of a bend in the knees here. And we'll swivel side to side, so listen carefully. Bend those knees, and you'll be bending at the hips as well. And then shift your pelvis a little bit to the left, still anchoring through both hands. And then move through center, we'll shift over to the right. So it's like a little bit of a crouching down dog. And then we add this nice little twist, and hopefully you'll feel, as you twist side to side, you get this nice stretch down the side body. Just moving side to side here. And then pause in the center. We'll keep the palms anchored. Step the right foot forward about halfway, maybe less, you could do 3/4. And then step the left foot forward. Keep the palms anchored. Right foot steps back and left foot steps back. Repeat that, but we start with the left leg. So we step left forward, left back, and right back. So we're kind of in this right forward, left forward, almost like a bent knee forward fold, right back, left back, and down dog. Last time, left foot forward, right foot forward, bend deeply into the knees and almost sit your hips back like there was a chair behind you. We'll press into the feet and rise to stand here. We'll take a step forward on our mats. Squeeze the glutes a little bit at the top. Inhale. Exhale, step the right foot back for crescent lunge. Planting those toes, bring a slight bend to the right knee. And then you want to lengthen the tailbone towards the floor here. Arms are reaching up. We'll bring a bit of a series in here. So we'll repeat this a few times. From your crescent lunge, turn to the right side of your mat and let your toes be parallel so they face the side as well. Hands come to the side of your pelvis. And then we'll sit back for a side lunge. So we hinge in the right knee and hip and just side lunge over to the right. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see as we side lunge, we don't want this right knee to push forward. We want instead to drive our pelvis a little bit back. So side lunge right, side lunge left, really monitor that hip hinge, and right and left. Push off that left leg, rise to vertical in this wide-legged stance. And then just press into the balls of the feet and rotate the heels in a little, bending knees and hips for goddess. Here we'll open the arms on the diagonal. We're going to alternate so you can start with whatever arm, but we kind of draw in and then open up. Draw in, open up on the diagonal. And you can bring the fingers, make them a little bit expressive here too. Should feel nice on the back. Let some sighs out. Good, and then we'll all pause with the arms wide, turn back to the front of the mat and step the right foot in, returning to our starting position. We'll repeat that, right foot steps back, landing on the toes. Turn to your right, toes facing side of the mat, side lunge to the right, sitting back in the knee and hip. If it feels comfortable, you can bring the fingertips to the floor. And we'll take a few more this time because these feel good on the inner thighs. You can always keep those hands on the pelvis. Just 2 more. And we'll pause, bending into this left knee and hip. Press into the foot, rise to stand in wide-legged stance. And then we rotate the heels in slightly. Feet are still kind of on the diagonal, not anything too extreme for goddess. And then give yourself a little bit of a hug. Open those arms on the diagonal. Open on the diagonal. And as we do this, you'll feel those shoulder blades on your back kind of moving around with this motion. And it feels really, it's good for your connective tissue. It's really nice. 2 more. Good, and then take the arms wide and like a T, and we'll go straight to the other side. So windmill, hands down to the front of the mat, Step the left foot back and lower the knees for quadruped. So starting way back here, right knee lifts, keeping this spine long, externally rotate the hip so right knee goes right to some degree, and then extend it back in neutral, long behind you. Left arm maybe reaches by the ear, reaching forward. And then the right knee lowers underneath you. Left hand comes behind the skull. Inhale here. Exhale, open up for a twist to the left. Press through that right hand. And the left hand plants back to the floor. Right leg reaches back, toes touch on the floor. And then lift that leg. Right knee bends, externally rotate the hip. Knee moving out to the right, pelvis stays stable. Extend the right leg long behind you, hovering. Option to extend the left arm by the ear. Feeling length here. And ultimately, right knee lowers underneath you. Left hand behind the head. Press into this right arm, moving from the ribs, we open to the left. Good, left hand returns to the mat. Tuck your toes and sit those hips back. And then walk your hands to be more under your shoulders. Our cat-cows here, we inhale, pull the chest forward, keep the neck nice and long. Exhale, push into the mat, curve that upper back. Ooh, that might feel more mobile now that we've done those. Opening diagonals in your goddess. And we just keep moving here. Good, and one more cycle. And then return to neutral, untuck your toes. We'll rise for this elevated kneel here. We're stepping the right foot out on the right diagonal, so it's kind of to your side, maybe a little bit forward. This is what I call half kneel warrior variation. I do it a lot. Right forearm comes to the thigh, left arm reaches to the right side. Squeeze that left glute, you'll get extra opening in the front of the hip. And then rise through vertical, left hand to the side of the pelvis, right arm reaching over to the left. Return to vertical, arms extend, right foot slides forward, coming to a half kneel. Squeezing the left glute here, arms to goalpost or cactus, and we get our twist through the ribs. Pelvis stays neutral here, keep squeezing the left glute. Good, one more set. And then arms extend long. Fingertips come to the floor, or you can use those blocks. Tuck the left toes, and we extend both legs, lifting that pelvis slightly. Left knee lowers, untuck the foot. Inhale, rise. Fingertips to the floor, tuck those toes, extending the knees. And then that knee lowers, untuck the foot. Inhale, rise. One more time here. Fingertips down, tuck those toes, extending the knees just slightly. And then this time the left knee lowers, slide the right leg back, lowering the knee for quadruped, hands plant. Tuck your toes, press into hands and feet, and lift the pelvis for your down dog here. Inhale. Exhale, bend the knees a little bit. You're getting more of a crouch. And then toggle the pelvis to the right and then to the left. And as you go, your feet are gonna kind of twist and turn with you. And that's good. So you're up on the toes, letting the feet swivel and pivot on the mat. One more each side. And then return to neutral, and we'll start these little walks. So the left foot starts, keep those hands planted, step the foot forward just a little bit, and then the right foot steps. Left foot steps back to down dog, right foot back. Right foot steps forward, left foot, and right foot back, left foot back.
One more each side. Left foot forward, right foot forward, left back, right back. Last time, right forward, left forward. Pause there. Bend the knees more. Maybe sit the hips back and press into the feet. Rise to stand. Step your way to the front of the mat. Inhale here. And the left toes step back into crescent lunge. Slight bend in this back knee so you can lengthen the tailbone. Inhale, arms reach up. Heading towards side lunge, we turn to the left this time. Toes face the side of the mat, hands to hips. And then sit it back into the left hip, bending that left knee, side lunge. And we move right and left and right. Pause. Press back to vertical, and then heels rotate in for our goddess, bending at the knees and hips. And we give ourselves a little hug and open those arms on the opposite diagonal or alternating diagonals. Feeling the back move, the shoulder blades move. 2 more. Pause there in your goddess. And we'll step the left foot to the front of the mat, returning to vertical. One more time, just like that. Left foot steps back, you're on the toes. Bend that knee, left knee, lengthening the tailbone. Turning to the left side of the mat, toes face, and then we side lunge. And you can get a little more fluid here if you feel ready for it. You can always bring the fingers to the floor. Couple more. And then pause, bending into the right knee and hip. Press long to a wide-legged vertical stance. And then we'll windmill the hands back to the mat. Step the right foot back, lower those knees, and you can sit the hips back in a child's pose. So knees can be wide, toes together, or you can have the legs totally together. And just kind of extend the torso towards the floor. You don't have to reach it, but just breathe here. Let it out through the mouth. Good, and then walk yourself up and around. And we'll just come to a comfortable seat. And we'll actually take a moment for Shavasana kind of to seal that quick flow in a seated position today. If you have the time and you want to recline to a full corpse pose, you would have your legs out long, your arms, palms up, down by your sides, and you can take as long as you'd like. But in a comfortable seat here, we'll flutter the eyes closed and just connect back to your natural pattern of breath. Noticing a little bit of a hum in your body from the movement and the work we've just done. Sensing if pieces feel different here compared to how you felt when we started or when you logged on today. And to close today, we'll take one final breath together. Inhaling through the nose. Open the mouth and exhale. Remembering that our movement and our physical practice can really be a portal for our emotional, our mental, our spiritual worlds. That our practice on the mat can show up in all other realms of our life. So thank you so much for joining me today. The light in me sees and honors the light in each and every one of you. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Getting off to a great start this semester. I will stick around for questions. I'll always do this after class. Otherwise, I hope to see you on Wednesday at the same time. And we won't be here next week, but the following week. Feel free to contact me if you have questions. And thanks so much. Have a great week.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.